Excellent. So thank you so much for being here today. So Adam Gross is the CEO and co-founder of RightEye. And Adam, I just mentioned that spring training started. I'm incredibly hyped for it, and I'm sure you are too.
I am. This should be an exciting year for our team in the NL East. So it'll be fun.
Awesome.
Hopefully better than last year.
All right. Um, so,
Yeah.
so maybe you could just tell everybody a little bit about RightEye. I'm going to put up on the screen if people aren't familiar with RightEye and what the company does. Maybe you could just give us a little bit of a background.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me. Sorry that you had to deal with all the weather stuff. Hopefully it'll warm up soon. Um, RightEye is an eye tracking technology company. So essentially, we were founded. My partner and I, Dr. Melissa Hunselve, started the company with a foundation of 30 years of research that correlated eye movement behavior to different aspects of your vision, your health, and your performance. And so we set out to deliver the first commercial product that delivers these sort of objective eye movement behavior analytics and outcomes in a kind of a convenient medical device. And so if you think about being able to observe manual eye movements, it's a difficult process. Folks have been doing it for years, but what RightEye delivers is a tool that delivers objective, repeatable assessments with reports and information that are quantifiable and they're visual and they're automated. So we really focus on the different aspects of dynamic vision. And so if you think about, what is dynamic vision, right? So you think about the traditional eye exams, really assessing we like talk about it as eyes out, right? Static acuity, being able to see, eyes out to the environment. Where RightEye really focuses is kind of on the eyes inside, so the think part and the act part. So the connections between the eyes and the brain, and that has everything to do in the sports environment, right? Having the visual skills to be able to process, to be able to move your eyes consistently and appropriately for the tasks that you deliver or that you're undertaking.
Right. So, I mean, why don't we talk a little bit concretely, though? I'm kind of curious. We mentioned baseball a few minutes ago. So you guys actually, I see a little thing that says MLB right on your little chart there. So you guys work with pro teams?
We do. We were very fortunate early on that our first customers were in the United States elite military and also professional sports, and specifically baseball. So it's kind of where we cut our teeth on the sports performance side of things. And so at this point, we are Major League Baseball and USA Baseball's vision testing technology. We kicked off the prospect development pipeline program with these guys, and we're in our fourth year now. We've tested almost 10,000 amateur athletes. So essentially, every player that is an amateur that's eligible for the professional draft gets tested on RightEye, and all 30 ball clubs get the report in the form of a lookbook on those players, and they use it to evaluate the upcoming draft and evaluate the talent and make decisions. And that has kind of led to a good penetration in our relationship with the big league teams themselves. So I think at this point we probably work directly with half the MLB teams, and so we've got a vast database of not only baseball, but we also work with other sports. We work with teams in the NFL, NBA, NHL, MLS, even international cricket, and the United States Olympic team, all teams. And so essentially, RightEye has developed a massive database of amateur through elite athletes and the best in the world at certain sports, including esports. In gaming. And so what I like to say is we know what it takes to be elite from a vision skills perspective. And so having that foundation in our database, we're able to deliver those insights to anyone that wants to go from good to great, or who's also professional who wants to get to the top of the game. And so this capability can be delivered from anywhere from MVPs in the league to all the way down to youth athletes who aspire to play college or professional sports.
Right.
So besides the predictive testing, which it works with for sure, and I'm sure you find a correlation between the ability of the, let's say, hitter and the results of the test, how does it improve the athlete?
Yeah, so the first step, right, is identifying the visual skills, but the strengths, but also the weaknesses in an athlete. And then, the old question, right? Okay, so what? Now I have that information. So what? Now what? What do I do with it? And so we also have a training component. So we've got two levels of training. We've got an oculomotor training program that is online that can be used on any tablet or computer, and it's web-based, so it can be performed anywhere. Those are really focused on kind of fine-tuning the three main eye movements, saccades, pursuits, and fixations. And then we have sport-specific training. And these are actual training drills and exercises. Some of them are general. We have about 140 of them, but many of them are sport specific. So whether you're a soccer goalie or you're a baseball hitter or a tennis player returning a serve, we've got over 140 specific exercises that also help you improve your on-field performance.
Wow.
Great.
But is this age specific? For example, if you have a kid that's 8 years old, can you start testing a very young child to see if there's any problem with that will affect their sports ability?
You can, and we do, and we're really increasingly starting to work downstream through our eye care professional, our providers who are using this in their practice as sports vision technology to deliver their sports vision service in their practice. Many of them ODs, and so we're moving downstream to the youth athletes. And what I like to say is, if you've got, using the prospect development pipeline example for an amateur baseball player who's eligible for the draft, they shouldn't be taking the RightEye test and assessing these vision skills for the first time when they're a high school senior or a college undergrad going into the draft. It's not the first time that they're, measuring their bat speed, right, or their exit velocity. They're working on that all the time. I've got a 16-year-old high school player that's all he does is talk about those metrics. But we're not looking at assessing and identifying those visual strengths and weaknesses early enough. So these kids, they wind up getting assessed for the first time at that level, and it's way too important because all these teams are utilizing this data and they're crunching it to make decisions on whether they're going to recruit a player, they're going to draft a player, whether they're going to trade a player, whether they're going to sign a free agent. And so we absolutely feel strongly that we should be working downstream to the youth athletes to get them to understand some of these strengths and weaknesses, and knowing that almost all of them are improvable and trainable. And so we get them on that path earlier. It allows them to maximize their potential.
Right. And so one thing that So I was going to say that one question that people had and continue to have, I think, is, especially here at this conference today, we have a lot of folks who do sports vision already, but some are just dipping their toes in the water and maybe have a general optometric practice running right now. Is this the kind of thing that they can sort of get up to speed with in their practice, even if they're just getting started doing sports vision, right? If they have a general practice, is this the kind of thing where, hey, this might be a good way to get started with sports vision?
It is, and we've designed it specifically for these kinds of practices. And so it's a simple, it's the medical device. It's an FDA cleared Class 2 medical device. It's a non-invasive technology. So you sit the person in front of the device. They play a series of games. We present stimuli. We're tracking their eye movement behavior while they're doing it. And our analytical model is performing a lot of data crunching in the cloud. And within milliseconds after the test is done, the doctor can go straight to their dashboard and review the results with their patients. And so and then based on the weaknesses or the areas of dysfunction for those patients, can set them on a path of training, whether it's our oculomotor training program, the sports vision exercises, or any other intervention that they deem fit to deliver. And so it's an all-encompassing tool, and it really is designed to be turnkey. We have many doctors that, they use various different tools, but RightEye is the cornerstone of their sports vision practice because it measures so many different aspects of vision, visual processing, visual speed. And, just for example, things like reaction time, RightEye has the ability to break out reaction time into 5 different components that no other test or technology has the capability of doing. So really getting into a granular, being able to dig granularly to understand, okay, what are the strengths and weaknesses of this person? Is it in their visual processing? Is it in their visual speed? Is it in their impulsivity? Understanding that allows you to really fine-tune the training regimen and get them to perform better on the field.
Right.
So it sounds like, Adam, it's not just for sports vision, but it's for, let's say, learning disabilities, people with poor pursuits, CAD accuracies, things like that. Am I correct that they could enhance their practice in the other area rather than just sports vision, but educational?
Absolutely. So, we like to talk about this in terms of an overarching concept of dynamic vision, right? So you're measuring your static vision. How clearly do my eyes see when I'm staring at, when I'm looking at objects that are still or my head is still? But life isn't static, right? So we're constantly moving. Objects are constantly moving, whether I'm reading on a computer screen, or I'm driving a vehicle, or I'm a senior citizen trying to walk across the street and not trip over the curb. I need to have good dynamic vision, right, in order to live my life safely and successfully, whatever I do, even if I'm an elite athlete or I'm an 8-year-old student. And so we've designed our modules, our software modules, with that in mind. So we've got our kind of overarching, the core product, which is dynamic vision assessment. And then we also have a reading assessment, and like you mentioned, start to understand the root cause of a learning issue. Is it a brain processing issue like dyslexia or ADD, or is it a binocular vision issue, right? So if I can observe objectively the reading habits and behavior of a student who's having issues, I can start to understand what is that root cause. And if you think about it, binocular vision issue versus ADD, 2 totally different paths for intervention. And so we hear all the time success stories with our providers where, a student was diagnosed with dyslexia and it turns out it was a misdiagnosis. And based on the RightEye technology, they were able to identify that there was actually a binocular vision issue going on. So after, 90 days of vision therapy, the kid, was able to read without getting headaches, without getting dizzy, without getting irritable, and off the ADD meds, and now living a successful kind of, having a successful learning experience. And so we add value in many ways that are in addition to just sports. Sports are important, and I know that's why we're here today, but our mission is to change as many lives as we can and maximize the potential of people. And so I've just listed described a few examples of that.
Great. Well,
so what's great is that it's evidence-based, and that the person who had, let's say, poor motilities, whether it be sports or educational, you can show it before and after, and you could actually document the improvement.
It is. We've now surpassed over 2.5 million tests on our platform. Many of those tests come along with verified clinical conditions. And so we claim to have the largest database in the world of eye movement behavior. And so we're constantly mining that data. We're constantly trying to come up with and develop new innovations. And we're also constantly trying to improve our existing products to deliver more value out of them. Evidence-based is how we're founded. It's the core of what we do. We publish as much as we can like crazy. So it's got a strong foundation of science and efficacy and data.
Do you also have programs for older eyes, weekend athletes that are aging now? Is there a way of testing them?
Yeah, one of the beautiful things about our dynamic vision test and specifically our sports vision test is like I mentioned earlier, really, it goes for everybody, right? Even like you said, the weekend warriors, like ourselves, maybe, who want to improve on the basketball court or on the tennis court or at the golf, playing golf. You obviously require a different set of skills to play golf at a high level than you do to play tennis. And so what's nice about the sports vision product is that we know that, with golf, fixations are an important aspect of success. We know that being able to have good depth perception and contrast, see contrast is important. Not as important as it is in in other sports, right? Fixations aren't as important when you're talking about returning an 85 mile an hour, 90 mile an hour serve in tennis, or trying to hit a 95 mile an hour fastball in baseball. So, we understand not only the different skills that are required for various sports, but also different positions. Pitchers in baseball have different visual skills than the hitters, right? And so what we've done is we've taken that and we can deliver it to that 8-year-old that you mentioned earlier, or we can deliver it to the 65-year-old who wants to get better and keep a step ahead in their Sunday morning tennis game. So it's the same concepts, it's the same principles, it's the same training regimen. What's nice also is that we compare those players, those athletes, those people to their peers. So if I am a 65-year-old weekend warrior tennis player, I'm going to get compared to my fellow weekend warriors, and I'm not going to be compared, to Rafael Nadal, right? And so now, what's nice about it also is it will show me how I stack up against Nadal and the best in the world. But I know I'm not going to get there at that point, right? So I just want to be able to compete with my peers and have a competitive advantage. And so everything that we do is based on age-based norms. And so we're able to compare that kid, that older person, athlete, to their peers, and also to the top athletes in the world. So that adds a little bit of fun to it too. You see how you stack up, and it also adds some motivation, right? Because if I'm, my son is that 16-year-old baseball player, I wanna get ahead. I want to play college baseball. I want to get drafted one day. So I'm looking at Bryce Harper's eye movement, behavior, and success, right? And I want to get to that level. And so it's not just about lifting weights in the gym. We can get an advantage through our visual skills as well.
Right. All right. So, Adam, if people wanted to move ahead with you guys, how does that one actually implement the system in their own practice? Who do they contact, and how does it all work?
Yeah. So thanks for asking. So we've got a virtual booth at the ISVA conference. So first and foremost, if you want to stop by the booth, it's being manned all day by our wonderful sales experts. And then you can also check us out on RightEye.com. It's really easy to schedule a demonstration. And, these days, Zoom calls are a really good tool. We have the ability to demonstrate the product and answer any questions that they may have.
Great. All right. Well, Adam, thank you so much for doing this today, and thank you for being here, and thank you for being a sponsor of the ISVA conference. I mean, I think we're in for a really interesting day today, and I know that if anybody has any follow-up questions, we'll forward them on to you.
Great. Well, thanks for having me, guys, and good luck this weekend.
All right. Great. Have a great day.